The main contributor to SSV network is actually block staking. All right, or you can call it blocks itself. Blocks has been in the market since 2016. Large scale infrastructures, data, financial data, CFO, bookkeepers to the industry. Crypto.coms and DYDX are actually the previous clients. Later on in time, we have like demands, kind of a demand from customer that they're doing genesis of Ethereum staking. There's a demand and they've been asking us, hey, are you guys going to start doing anything about it? With the demand itself, we actually started block staking, which is the very first true non-custodian Ethereum staking service in the market at the time since Genesis. This is how everything got started in terms of the Ethereum staking side of, since we are actually one of the very first. Ethereum Foundation actually have a research piece previously called Secret Share Validator, which is SSV, hence the name of the project. Being in the industry, being in the staking ecosystem, we understand that the edge cases, like the security of the key, the edge cases of running a validator, after when we got invited by them, we read the white paper, the research paper, this basically gave us a match. So that's how we got started. Then we start co-working, we start co-researching with Ethereum Foundation in terms of SSV technology, now called DVT, Distributed Validator Technology. We've been building and providing POC to Ethereum Foundation, then we got a grant from Ethereum Foundation to actually continue building. After the POC, we kind of have like a couple of discussions with the validation clients team. Then we realized that, hey, there's actually quite a number of limitations. So what we did right now is that we take in the feedback, go back to the drawing board, and we start upgrading and improving the technology from a simple DVT to a DVT network, where everything is a full-blown network state that actually kind of solve the limitations that we actually find simple DVT solution, like coordinations, performance, like collusions. The node operators, at least in SSV terms itself, the node operators are basically, there's a huge range of people, like validation and service. To put it short, in general, are people that have the necessary infrastructure to actually carry out validation duties on the beacon chain. All right, that's the node operator. And validation clients itself is actually a client that, okay, when you run, take part in the validation duties itself, there's a few components. There's an execution layer clients, consensus layer clients, be it whether bare metal or a local data center or cloud server, as an instances to run, okay? Nethermind, Prism, Geth, Aragon, Besu, so on and so forth. So these are the consensus layer client, execution layer clients. Then there's another thing called the validation. These are basically things that we spoke to. In the instances, to actually run validation duties on Ethereum itself, you need that to one point. Execution layer clients and consensus layer, one of each. In the practice right now, what a lot of people is doing is creating this active to passive redundancy. Active to passive redundancy means that they have one set of instances that's running the key right now, all right, to actually partake in the proposing and a task of duties on beacon chain. Or if anything happens to this active server, they actually have another set of server which is passive to actually activate to take over the duty, something like a backup. So it's active to passive. But in between or switch, what a lot of people is doing right now, if this active server have some issues due to bugs or whatsoever, the company will wait for like 2 epochs. Then they will activate the passive server. Very little automation is going on right now because there might be a risk of getting slashed, which is not worth, because 2 epoch itself and slashing, if you do a comparison, slashing is much more heavier. I think the initial design and the research itself is actually middleware implementations. But like I mentioned itself, there's a lot of limitation. So what we did is that instead of a middleware implementation itself, we actually implement DVT as our implementation as the base layer. So we have an SSV nodes that operate and run. So in the SSV nodes itself, the consensus clients, execution clients itself is all kind of connected to the nodes. So when that's connected to the nodes itself, what happened is that these SSV nodes are usually run by these operators, which I mentioned. It can be Stakely, it can be Xhash, basically those validation as service company. What the SSV nodes itself do, you can see it like a communicator, right? Something like that. The SSV nodes itself, when it's actually a communication layer. So what's going to happen is that whenever the operator in the network come into consensus, we have the same functionality like a validator clients. It don't hold, for this moment, the validation clients don't hold the key. The functionality is like, it will actually, after it come into consensus, right, the SSV node will be handling the sending of the messages to beacon chain to sign the transaction. It's secret in the sense that none of the operator, okay, in the cluster that maybe a staking applications or yourself pick and choose the operator. No one have the original validator key, right? Only the owner of the key have the whole key. It's a secret to anyone else in the operator set. No one have access to the full key. And even to the extent that we are releasing our DKG tool, that DKG will make it even more secret because there's no key at all when you actually use DKG at all. So share, in terms of, it's a shared security, right? By the end of the day, I feel. A validator key itself is split into multiple key shares, depending on what you like, what kind of fault tolerance you want. Only the key shares itself is shared to the operator, and the operator in the cluster are the one to make sure that, hey, we need to make sure that whatever that we are signing, a partial signature is not a slashable event. I need to check my database before I sign a partial signature to make sure I send a duty online. We are very, very focused in developer ecosystem. My expert use this opportunity itself is that we are very focused in developers, so we believe that the future of Ethereum itself is a long tail of different flavor of be whether staking service, staking pool. That implementation of DVT that SSV do itself is to make sure that this developer can have very, very easy access. Take the technology, integrate into the tech stack, because SSV itself is 100% open source. Throughout the whole industry, we are the only one with a node specs that went through specs testing, penetration testing, and fully audited by Quantstamp and list authority. Anyone can just take the node specs and build whatever things that they want. Be whether they integrate with the network or not, the node spec is there, take it and use it.